Hello, I come to you today with a bookish video just about three quick winter reads that would be good for the weather getting colder. First book I'm going to talk about, I think a lot of people will have heard about, which is The Snow Child by Ian Levi. I'm not 100% sure how to say that. Sorry, I'm totally butchering it. If you know how to pronounce it, please let me know. It's about a elderly middle-aged couple who move up from mainland America to Alaska in the early 1900s to make a new life for themselves. They find it very isolated, both the landscape and the social network, as in there's only really one other sort of family nearby. There's like a small town, but it's really difficult to sort of speak to other people, especially in the winter time. So they're trying to set up a homestead essentially, and they start to have sightings of this small girl outside their cabin and the relationship that sort of emerges between the three of them. Initially, when I read this, I wasn't overly enamoured by it. However, in retrospect, I think that was because I had a lot of issues with the sadness and the melancholy that I felt coming from it that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting a much more sort of magical, fantastical tale, and I found it to be very bleak. And who I would class the main character to be Mabel, which is the wife of the couple, I just felt so sad for her, and I wanted so much more for her. Not as a character, I thought the characterization was excellent, but just as a person and in her life, I wanted so much more for her, which was probably partly the point of the book, but I just really had a lot of the feels for her, and for her husband Jack as well. It was just very bleak in a way that I wasn't expecting. I mean, the writing itself is really rich, and the story, I mean, it's quite a decent sized book, so there is a lot of story there. But yeah, you really get a feel for how isolated this landscape is. And I think just, again, I wasn't expecting that. However, if you are expecting it, hopefully you will enjoy it a lot more than I did the first time round. I mean, I read it at the beginning of this year, 2015, and I'm still sort of thinking about it, so to me that's a good sign. It was just different to what I was expecting. But yeah, if you've got a cold snap coming your way, definitely pick this one up. Second one I'm going to talk about is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent, which is set in early 1800s Iceland and is a mix of fact and fiction. It's set around the last execution in Iceland, which was 1820 something. So it's actually a woman who committed murder called Agnes, and this follows her stay with her family shortly before she is executed. So it's a mix of fact and fiction, as in it follows true events, but obviously the internalisation of Agnes and the family and everything else surrounding it is fictionalised. I didn't really know what to expect when I went into this book, and I absolutely loved it. I got into it straight away. It is, again, as with all of these, it's quite bleak. Obviously, there isn't a happy ending. I think I was quite entranced by the fact that the basic premise was a true story, and also sort of how well the details came across of how people lived in those conditions, and at that time, how the families all lived together, how there wasn't a lot of space. Also, how this story sort of unfolds the official version and picture that this family has of Agnes, and then how we see her unfold as a character and how we see her version of events of this murder that leads to her conviction and her death. It really was wonderful. I just loved it, and it's stayed with me. I read this in December 2014, so a year ago, and I still just love it. I really want Hannah Kent to bring something else out. I know that these things don't happen really quickly, but I would really, really like something else from her, because I just really, really enjoyed this. So yeah, check that one out as well. Last book I'm going to talk about might be a little bit more off the radar. I'm not 100% certain, but that is The Vanishing Act by Mette Jacobsen. This is set on a remote island in sort of the Scandinavia type area. We aren't given a precise location that I'm aware of or can remember, and this follows Minnow. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing that correctly either. It's Minou. So again, if I'm doing that incorrectly, please let me know. Basically, she's a small girl who lives on this island with her mother and father, and then one day her mother disappears and we join her sort of about a year later, and she's still sort of trying to piece together what it is exactly that happened. There's not really many people that live on this island. There's like a preacher and a magician and a few other people that make up this really small community. It's sort of intimate and not, again, in the way of everyone is quite isolated because of the weather and it's a very bleak landscape. However, it's like an intimate community because there's not many of them. And this is sort of about Minu's sort of not coming of age, but sort of becoming more aware of what's happening around her and finding out the truth behind her mother's disappearance. It's only really short. I think it's about 220 pages and it's like quite well spaced, so you can whiz through this in a couple of sittings. And yeah, again, really recommend it, and absolutely gorgeous colour, which also goes in with my lounge colorscape, which is rather nice. So yeah, if you haven't read that, I really suggest that you check it out this winter. If you've read any of those books or have any other wintry reads that you suggest, then please let me know down below or on social media. Let me know if you liked any of them, hated any of them. Again, I think that all of these authors only have these books out, so there's nothing else that I can sort of recommend. If I'm wrong, please let me know, or if there's anything similar out there, let me know, because I absolutely loved all of these books. Until next time, bye.